Thanks for tuning in the RT Boxing Show. I am your host, Mr. A. This is a breakdown and prediction for the Sullivan Barrera and Felix Valera fight taking place later on tonight. Now, before we get into the fight itself, this fight, I guess, is a risk and reward fight. So let's get into the risk. To understand the risks, you got to get into, I guess, where these guys are at in their careers. Felix Valera, who's ranked number 50 in the world, against Sullivan, who's ranked 4. Now, going into the 4 sanctioning bodies, the WBC, Valeria's 14, Barrera's 3. The WBA, 7 for Felix, number 1 for Sullivan. The IBF, 15 and 10 for Barrera, and WBO, Felix is not ranked, and Sullivan is number 3. So you got a top 10 in Sullivan Barrera in all 4 sanctioned bodies, and the highest Felix is number 7 and 3 out of 4. And remember, Sullivan is top 5 in 3 out of the 4, and number 4 in the world. So you see the risk just right there. And then also, you were hearing that Sullivan Barrera, granted he gets past this, he got a title shot against Bivol. Now that alone is a whole nother video, and I get to that just later. Remember, I did make a question for thee, who might lose in 2018. Now that is the risk right there. You got a lot for Sullivan, and Felix, who could just steal all that limelight, all the hard work, all the I guess the rewards, all the dimensions, and talked about that Sullivan Barrera's worked so hard for. He fought Andre Ward, showed a violent effort, and since then he's been getting some good fights. All that could be washed away, erased against this fight against Felix Valera, who lost to Bivol. That's how Bivol ended up kind of getting to where he's at right now. Bivol beat Valera for the interim WBA title, which now he got promoted from that belt to the to the lightweight champion once Ward retired. So thanks to the Felix Valera, Bivol is where he is now at champion. And Bivol, it was a one-sided, pretty dominated performance by Bivol on Valera. He had Valera kind of backskating survival a good portion of that fight. Now to the breakdown and prediction of this fight. This is to me a scary 50-50 trap fight for Sullivan, and it's a really good fight. I think it's a really good fight. I'm kind of glad I chose this. I wish I would have did the video sooner, but I'm glad that this is my last fight for November before I head into the December fights. This is, I think I know who I'm going to lean towards, but I still think this is a 50-50 fight right here. A great 50-50 fight. Now the breakdown prediction between the legs and feet, I'm leaning towards Sullivan Barrera in this category, just for the factor that Felix Valera, he has a wide stance, and although he does use his legs well for back foot countering type here, walk around a lot, set up the gap with his space and his footing, and he'll use a leverage for his wide stance to throw a 1-2 at you. But when he goes inside fighting and he starts to throw combinations, his feet, his wide placement, they tend to get him off balance, off target, over lunging, over reaching. He reminds me of a mixture of Jesse Hart and Top Dog Williams. Good boxing ability, but still with sloppy feet work that throws wide shots sometimes, and his balance is off. That's what Felix Valera reminds me of a mix of. If you think that's okay mix, put a thumbs up, leave a comment. If that's a good mixture you think. Now, just for that off balance and all that stuff, While Sullivan Barrera, I believe he uses good lateral movement and steps. You know, he's a decent back foot fighter, not more of a survival retreat mode. He he could dip down with his legs. He gets little angles, but he seems to be always in um, better position with his punches than Valeria. So I'm going to give it the legs for that reasons to Sullivan. As far as defense, I believe Barrera has better catch and shoot defense. Like in an inside game, he could catch the punches and fire back. While I'm gonna go with ring usage, the leg movement of Valeria on better outside defense. Inside defense, I gave with Barrera. Like I said, I think he's better at catching, blocking, rolling with punches, slipping them better than Felix. Or Felix, to me, when he gets inside, he's either holding or he's unleashing combinations as a flurry of punches as his defense to get away from him. And those punches, and not only when he throws those punches, his legs leave him a little off balance, wide stance. He seems to be a little open when he throws those inside punches. So on the defensively end, I'm going to lean with Barrera. Offensively, this is tough because, like I said, Felix, he's flawed on some points, but he's not a bad fighter. He makes those flaws work for him very well. You know, so jab for jab, I'm actually probably going to lean towards Felix on that. The jab and the 1-2. Even though Barrera has a good one, I like how Felix moves his jab up and down the body. And it has some good pop behind it. It's not a fill-out jab. He's actually using it as a weapon. They both use their jabs as a weapon. But the total usage of the jab, I like Felix up and down the body on it. Power for power, I'm gonna lean with Felix on this one. Even whether it's just standstill punching, I think he just has a delivery, or then when he has all that torque in his punches, like I said, he's dangerous because he does have good boxing ability from the outside, jabbing, body game, the 1-2, up and down with the jab. But then when he starts swinging those wild, unorthodox angles and rhythm punches, those wide legs, that's when he starts bringing that Top Dog Williams and Jesse Hart swinging out. Those are dangerous fighters, man, because you try and plan for their good moments. Like this guy can box, he can't, he is strong. You try and plan for that. And all of a sudden you got these windmill punches coming. You don't always see them coming, and that's dangerous. That's why to me this is a very 50-50 fight. Felix is a good boxer, and then he has that unorthodox, wild punching power, punches with punching power. So it's punching combinations. I believe Barrera has a nice 1-2s. He comes with the 1-2 with an uppercut, vicious uppercut. I'm gonna go with the combinations of Barrera because it seems like his combinations are more thought out, more set up properly, and they're not as repetitive. Like I said, he could go 1-2 with a body hook, 1-2 with an uppercut, 1-2 with two uppercuts with a body hook. While Valeria, he's gonna give you the 1-2, and his combinations usually come in the mid range, and they seem like just a flurry to get away from him. So you're gonna get a bunch of hooks most of the time, not a mix up. The speed variation, I'm gonna go with Barrera on that one. Even though for the most part they both kind of throw the same speed all the time, but I think Barrera is starting to learn and throw ghost punches, setup punches more often. I think he's learned that with experience. If you want to say, you know, his 104 rounds versus his 53 rounds, you know, if you want to use that number, you know, like what does that number do for people? Well, you know, some people like to look at all the stats and, you know, make a fight. How can you draw that stat into a fight? 104 rounds of experience against 53, you kind of know when to, you know, like throw some setup punches, and instead of just always swinging for the gusto, which I think Felix Valera does. He swings for the gusto more than setup punches. So speed variation, I'm going with Barrera. Power, I'm going with Felix. Combination variation, Barrera. Jab, Felix. So this is it's a good 50-50 fight to me. Now, doing with all the rankings, how I said 4 in the world versus 50 in the world, top 10 in all 4 sanctioned bodies, and 3 out of 4 he's ranked in the top 5. Sullivan Barrera, I will believe he is the favorite, or at least this is his fight to lose. Now, how can a little keys to victory? How can Felix pull off the upset? I would say keep Sullivan Barrera on the outside and work the jab. Paint the body back and forth, up and down, and keep turning with Barrera, and just work the jab, and then occasionally, you know, rough him up in the inside, slow him down, but just mainly just work the jab, and keep spinning him. Back foot box Barrera, and this should be a victory for Valera, because he has enough power to engage when Barrera gets too close. Now, my prediction for this fight right here on RT Boxing. Thank you for your support. Let's see, so the sun's going down. The prediction, we're gonna get some sun for this prediction. I am going with a split decision. I was going to do a knockout. And you know what? I'm going back with a knockout. I'm going with a 10th round knockout. I believe somewhere in the trenches, this is going to get a really good fight. Both guys are going to take into some shots. And this fight for Barrera, like I said, for Valera to win, it needs to be on the outside. I believe Barrera is going to get himself in the mid-range to end, make this a fight, catch and shoot his punches, because when you get in the end game, that's when Valera's punches get wild and his legs get wide and he's swinging off balance. I believe Barrera will be able to catch him, some counters, catching pull shoots, catch and release on him, roll some, catch him in the mid-swing, and I think his legs, his wide stance of Valera, he would go down. He's going to get hit pretty hard. And somewhere in the late night rounds, he's going to go down like once or twice. And we got a winner, Sullivan Barrera, by knockout. Well, referee might stop it, so a TKO in the 10th round. And on comes Bivol. This is RT Boxing. This is your host, Mr. A, saying thank you for your support. Thank you for the growth of 200. Keep that success going. Thank you very much.